air turrets. Turrets. That really don't look like a turret. I'm not going to really say what that looks like, but once you get enough air units, you can focus fire them down relatively easily. Now, I'm really sad to see that metygl hasn't used these creep tumors. He's actually doubled up here and pretty much done nothing. And metygl is actually going to lose his high yield expansion here, as Rekatan is going to see it and focus down. And that's really unfortunate for metygl because he is running off of one base right now. Now, you do see a high saturation for that base, but metygl is really hurting in the income tab right here. We do see about a 200 mineral difference, and really feeling the hurt on the gas, as Rekatan is seeing about a about a 500 gas per minute bonus on top of metygl. So metygl right now is kind of backed up in the corner and needs to make something happen because he has upgraded his units, and if he pushed earlier on, he could have really done a lot of economic damage to Rekatan and actually kept Rekatan kind of reined in. But metygl has not been aggressive with his units. Now, we actually do see a creep highway coming down, and metygl might use his queens in a really unique way, because if you keep these queens underneath the Mutalisk, not only can you provide air support and ground support, but you can use the queen's ability to heal these Mutalisks. So you're going to use a lot of micro here, but if you can actually pull it off, it's really well worth it. Now, if metygl had actually extended his creep highway earlier, he would not be sitting here, because every single moment that metygl sits, he's actually falling behind. Rekatan clearly has the income advantage. He is basically doubling the income for minerals and tripling the income for gas, and we actually see infestors coming on the field. So these infestors are going to do a really good job if Rekatan chooses to burrow them, which we do see burrowing being evolved. I don't research. I don't know if Zergs actually research that kind of stuff. We'll actually pause that there, but I don't know what you want to call it, but we do see the glandular upgrade for the infestors coming up. So these infestors are going to start out with a lot more energy, so they're going to be able to pop out a lot more infested Terrans, which will do a lot of damage to air units. I mean, if you're able, because we don't see any sort of protection other than Spike, and we actually see the Overlords being sniped here, and Rekatan being chased away by metagygl's forces, and Rekatan is going to end up losing he's going to end up losing a couple of Mutalisks here. And let's see the losses here. It's still in metagygl's favor for mineral-wise, but metygl really does not have that great of map control. He only has two bases, one actually being utilized, one's actually mined out, and he is protecting his gold expansion here with 6 queens. So Rekatan is going to have a hard time breaking that gold expansion, and he has extended his creep highway, which is really important here, so that he can get his queens out here and keep them basically in the game. Because if you don't have any sort of creep under the queens, they're basically stranded, and you don't want to find a queen out in the open with any sort of going against any sort of mobile units. So let's go ahead and look at the army tab here. Rekatan is clearly ahead. He has a 50 supply bonus here, and I'm not sure if Rekatan chose to attack now, whether metygl could do anything about it. And as we see here, they're pretty even on Mutalisks. Now, metagygl's Mutalisks are worth more on the field because of their upgrades, but these infestors are going to play a big part in harassment if he chooses to use them as harassing units, or he can support the Mutalisks by throwing the infested Terrans underneath the Mutalisks, which is going to be quite interesting to see what he does with them. There's nothing on the field that's really going to see Neural Parasite coming into play, and it's going to be interesting right now. I feel like we're going to see a definitive battle here in the next couple of minutes, well, within the next minute or so, because Rekatan is actually coming up on the gold expansion, and all these queens are going to fall into prey. Oh, and actually a sandwich coming here by metygl, and Rekatan does pull out because of the queens. I mean, these queens are such a powerful anti-air force. combined with these Mutilisks. Of course, now this Air Force, if it caught the Queens by themselves, the Queens would fall, but they would take out quite a few Mutilisks, especially if metygl decided to micro them properly. Now, metygl is actually moving away from his gold expansion, which is, I don't know if that's really quite the right call, but Rekatan is actually moving into the main, and see these Queens, and Rekatan is really not being aggressive at all. He does have a army advantage of quite a distinction, and he's not really using. He's only flying these Mutilisks around and only taking damage. So if Rekatan does not really take advantage of it now, I don't know. Things are going to even out, even though Rekatan is bringing up another expansion here and maybe looking to bring out the island expansion. Not sure. But we see Zerglings coming here, so this is going to be actually quite interesting to see. These Zerglings are going to be able to task these Queens, and if they get a good surround, these Queens are going to fall, and these Mutilisks are not really going to be able to do much. I don't think these Mutilisks are going to be able to hold by themselves. So right now, we have two forces right here, and we are going to see quite the clash right here. And I actually got a little lag right there. But metygl is moving away, and there's not any sort of conflict. Everyone choosing to move away and try to poke around. Of course, these Mutilisks are great at harassing, but at this point, there is going to be a clash, and when they do clash, it is going to be pretty definitive. And we see the Mutilisks actually coming in here, killing these Queens, and these Queens standing no chance from the focus fire of the Mutilisks, but the Mutilisks actually taking a lot of damage there. These Queens really not doing that much other than sitting around protecting the main, so I don't know if that was really worth it, because when the actual battle does come into... Oh, and we actually see metygl bringing up some infestors, and he has 15 Queens on the field. So these Queens are lumbering around on the creep highway. So it really depends on the positioning of the armies right now. And we do see 2-2 upgrades for the Mutilisks for metygl, and Rekatan still actually, Rekatan has answered the call and gone to 2-2 as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see whether it's Queens on the ground or whether it's these Zerglings are going to make the difference. We actually see a huge difference, though, in the number of Mutilisks, 46 to 29. If Rekatan chooses to commit his forces to any individual conflict, he will be able to roll over metygl. Metygl is really in a bad position right now. Rekatan really not doing what he I mean, this is not a negative thing going on, but Rekatan should be using his numerical advantage to pound metygl into the ground, sniping that spire. It would be so much. Oh wow! And we actually see all these glaives coming here. See, look at all this AOE damage right here. All these Mutilisks taking so much damage from metygl, but metygl able to run Rekatan off again, even though he's at a huge disadvantage. Rekatan not able to see the advantage that he has. All these Mutilisks are down. We have one Mutilisk is actually unscathed. So Rekatan really not taking advantage of his numerical count. And oh, we actually see some Zerglings surrounding these Queens, and we're really not seeing any sort of a microing by the Queens. Of course, the Queen's able to easily overtake those Zerglings, and these Queens not too happy to have their claws touching the sand. Claws, whatever. I don't know what the tip is actually, what you want to call that. But we see these Zerglings are in the hurricane and actually burrow, so they're going to be rather unmolested. And Rekatan Mutilisks are going to die needlessly. Really kind of disappointed not seeing Rekatan. I mean, Rekatan could have won this a long time ago. The longer he waits, it seems that he's really just not doing anything. And metygl slow walking to you, pretty much tired of the lock of the game. Nothing really happening. Metygl, of course, trying to populate his army as much as possible. You see a little bit of lag right there. And Rekatan is going to see this through the tower. And right now, I do believe that we're going to see a definitive battle, because metygl is going to force Rekatan's hand. And metygl actually taking over Rekatan's old expansion here. We see the Zerglings dying to that acid spew. These Banelings still making an effect late in the game. Or that Baneling died to that Spine Crawler. And I believe we're actually going to see the battle here. We actually see the infestors popping out all of these infested swarm eggs. And they're going to be absorbing a lot of damage here. And Rekatan's not committing his newest force here. Rekatan is really not doing what he should do. And of course, we do see some funky work on the Queen. Rekatan finally bringing up his Mutilisks. Rekatan is going to clean up this field right here, because metygl is not, he's not healing his queens like he should. These queens are going to fall, and I don't know what metygl is going to be able to do after this. We see the armory tab. metygl has no mutalisks left. He has one infestor scurrying away from the battlefield. Everyone die. We see a huge carpet of red, and I don't know what metygl is doing. This game is basically over, and we see another infestor go down, and all these overlords are going to absorb a lot of damage, but not going to be able to reciprocate. And we see Queen scurrying up here to her death in another infestor. metygl, I got to give metygl credit for the balls to run out there and basically see what's up. But Rekatan, in the end, coming out on top due to the fact that he was able to maintain his macro and maintain a larger army size, even though he didn't really take advantage of it early on. And of course, metygl giving the GG, and really good game. Kind of slow. No one was really being hyper aggressive except for metygl early on in the game with that early Nida Swarm. I like to see that, and you know, unfortunately, Rekatan was able to take the win in the end. Got to give metygl credit for his enthusiasm. Really a good game overall, and it was a blast to cast. And guys, I will see you next time. This has been Rotting, checking out.